Now another story. The former Vice President Kamala Harris making a surprise appearance of sorts with a preview of her future. She was asked about President Trump and his first few weeks in office and said the following. There were many things we knew were going to happen. I'm not going to say I told you so. Harris told the crowd, I'm not going anywhere. Well, sounds like she kind of is saying I told you so as we bring in our media contributor, Colby Hall, who can read over at Mediaite.com. So she's, market's down a ton and she's doing this and this. I don't know if it matters, but it does sound, and how it'll play in the media, but it does sound kind of like an I told you so.
Well, it reminds me of an old bit my dad used to tell me all the time in the 70s, which was, I'm not the kind of guy who said I told you so, but
I told you so.
I did, and I think that's the bit. And she got a big laugh when she said that. Like, I don't know if there's a big appetite for Kamala Harris, Schadenfreude, or sort of Monday morning quarterbacking, right? She had her shot. She had the chance to make a more compelling argument, and didn't. That said, I can't imagine if the situation reversed that Trump wouldn't be doing precisely the same thing, only on a more exponentially greater level, right? She also shared a clip of herself on Twitter precisely predicting exactly what would happen with this tariff policy. So she has a point. She just doesn't have a platform or really any power whatsoever to make that point. So, I don't blame her for trying to stay relevant. I don't know that it matters at all.
Probably not. The ironic part about the tariff stuff, who told you so, is Trump. He's talked about it, as we said a moment ago, for 40 years. So if anybody telegraphed it, it was him. But I don't know if he thought that we'd have this type of reaction. Maybe he did. Speaking of the campaign between the two of them, though, we had an interesting conversation with Amy Parnes yesterday, and her book that she co-authored with Jonathan Allen is getting a lot of attention. It's called Fight. It's about the campaign. A lot of it focuses on Biden dropping out, Harris stepping in. This clip that I'll play from Amy is interesting because I think we knew a lot about the Pelosi stuff, but there was new stuff about her in there. But Obama, President Obama, and the fact that he just did not believe in Harris. Amy picks up on that. Listen.
He's trying to advocate for an open primary. He doesn't think Harris can win, and he wants something else. He wants something to really excite the party, and so he's taking the temperature. He's doing that. He's really involved more than we think.
More than we think he is, and because the story at the time was really, where is there was not a lot of public comments from the former president.
Well, I think he stayed out of it, but I think if you look back over the last 10, 15 years. There's one person in the Democratic Party who absolutely had their finger on the pulse of sort of the political winds where they were going, and it's been Barack Obama. And, there's reports that he didn't believe that Joe Biden had it. That proved to be pretty accurate. And he didn't think that Kamala Harris was going to be sort of enthusiastic and exciting enough to win the election. That proved to be accurate. I don't think that Kamala Harris had much of a chance given the sort of situation that she inherited. But, and I think he showed respect by not being too vocal. But I don't think it's a mystery that this stuff is getting leaked now. And just a quick note, that book that's out is perhaps the best behind-the-scenes electoral book that Amy and Jonathan put out. It's a must-read. So
yeah, no, I agree. I'm a big fan of both, especially Amy, who I've known for a while. And I think going back to her first book that they wrote together, that was 8 years ago. That was a good book, too. It was about the Hillary campaign. But this one, I said to her yesterday, it's like, I didn't really, or I don't know if I said this exactly, but I wasn't really looking forward to reading more about this campaign necessarily. But then you start reading it, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Like, you're literally in the room, which is like, all of us who do this, we like that part about it. But it also highlights the fact that these politicians, the stuff they're saying in public, a lot different than what they're saying behind closed doors. Final one for you, Colby. I think this is interesting. It may never happen, but you're a media guy. There's a poll out about if AOC ran against Chuck Schumer in a primary for Senate in New York. Okay, it's from a liberal-leaning polling outfit, but Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez 55, Senator Schumer 36. So I don't know. Nobody thought she could beat old Joe Crowley, and she did. And I don't know if she'll get in this race, but maybe she has a chance.
I think this is the most fascinating political story to watch unfold over the next 2 years because it's the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. And people have been saying forever that we have a gerontocracy problem. The too many elected officials that represent their constituents in Congress right now are just sort of too long in the tooth, right? And that's not being ageist. It's just time for new blood.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.